Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunathiravana Chari Jamunathiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunathiravana Chari Jamunathiravana Chari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Om Vishnu Paramahamsa, Paribhrajakacharya, Astotra Satat Srimad, His Divine Grace, His Confounded Acharya, Srila Abhacharya Navindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Purport Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnu Paramahamsa, Paribhrajakacharya, Astotra Satat Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Purport Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahau Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhar Si Vatsadi Si Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Si Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Simaya Punavadev Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jaganapuri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Yamunamai Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Our glory is to the sum devotees. Our glory is to the sum devotees. Our glory is to the Samun devotees. Our glory is all glories to Sisi Gaur and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jaya Mudhirayet Nasta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. So, you're welcome to this segment of the morning get-together. We have different parties. As first party start at 4:30, and then 7 o'clock. Here's another one. You can't hear? Really? All right. It's okay. So, we are not devoid, our society is not devoid of get-togethers. But the get-togethers, there are different objectives. The get-togethers are basically for enlightenment. I think this is better. You can hear? Thank you. So, the segment of our party is about, Krishna Katha, hearing about Krishna, hearing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna and his devotees from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Purana, the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. So, today's text is Canto 1, chapter 17, text 1-3. Akṛtāhi vṛṣa bhadraṁ va sādhūnām akṛta-āgasām ātma-vairūpya-kartāraṁ pārthānāṁ kīrti-dūṣaṇam akṛtāhi vṛṣa bhadraṁ va sādhūnām akṛta-āgasām ātma-vairūpya-kartāraṁ pārthānāṁ kīrti-dūṣaṇam akṛtāhi vṛṣa bhadraṁ va sādhūnām akṛta-āgasām ātma-vairūpya-kartāraṁ pārthānāṁ kīrti-dūṣaṇam. Mataji's animal ladies, Matajis, we are fighting for equal rights and justice. Yes, match the men, you know. All right. There's no one else who wants. Women naturally they are shy. They are very smart. They are like 8 to 9 times more socially intelligent than men, but they are also very reserved. So, so word for word translation and purport by His Divine Grace, His Confounded Acharya, Srila Abhachan Avinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Some of you just keep your mouth like this. You quarreling with Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada ki. All right, thank you. Akṛtāhi. Just let me know. vṛṣa. O bull. Bhadram. Good. Svaha, for you, sādhūnām, of the honest, akṛta-āgasām, of those who are offenseless, ātma-vairūpya, deformation of the self, kartāram, doer, pārthānāṁ, of the sons of Pṛthā, kīrti-dūṣaṇam, blackmailing the reputation. Translation: O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator or of these mutilations, which blackmail the reputation of the sons of Pṛthā. Please kindly, responsibly repeat. O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator of these mutilations, which blackmail the reputation of the sons of Pṛthā. Purport: the reputation of the reign of Mahārāja Rāmacandra and that of the kings who followed in the footsteps of Mahārāja Rāmacandra, like the Pāṇḍavas and their descendants, are never to be forgotten, because in their kingdom offenseless and honest living beings were never in trouble. The bull and the cow are the symbols of the most offenseless living beings, because even the stool and urine of these animals are utilized to benefit human society. The descendants of the sons of Pṛthā, like Mahārāja Parīkṣit, were afraid of losing their reputations. But in the modern days, the leaders are not even afraid of killing such offenseless animals. Herein lies the difference between the reign of those pious kings and the modern states ruled by irresponsible executive heads without knowledge of the codes of God, codes of Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Salakaya Saksura Malitam Jena Tasmai Se Gurave Namaha Suchetaya Manovistam Sthapi Tam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Damayam Padantistva Padanti Bandisi Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Buddhataya Puspavantu Chita Chandatamana Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sridhar Gaura Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaura Vani Picharine Nirvisesa Sanyavadi Pachatyadi Sutari Vancha Kalpatari Vyacha Kukasunabhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanim. So one of the things that is very conspicuous in Prabhupada's literary works, devotional exposition, is that he uses the Vedic literature to address issues. So here is a text basically for someone who is not interested in, this is called problem solving. Using the knowledge to try to address a problem. So in this purport, Prabhupada uses this very text in trying to bring to bear how there's a problem with modern leaders. The problem is that modern leaders who don't care about cow protection, who don't care about protecting the bull. And these two animals, they are so important. The bull is used for tilling the cow, for tilling the ground for agriculture. The cow supplies abundance of milk for varieties of foodstuffs. In fact, in the Vedic culture, your riches is determined by how many cows you have. Nanda Maharaj had how many cows? 9 lakhs. But cows, it's not just about cow protection, but cows are so important to Krishna. In fact, Krishna's very abode is called Cow Planet. Have you given a thought to this? Go local. Have you given a thought to this? Yes. Yeah, it does not only love, cows are not only dear to him. They are part of his community, they are part of his family, they are part of his life. And Krishna was very apt at making sure that he personally attends to the cow. Sometimes people wonder, people query, why are you wasting your life, protecting cows? You should come and get a job in a factory. Why are you wasting your life protecting cows? There are so many ways to worship Krishna. And one who simply feeds the cow with grass is not, grass. Who cannot go and cut grass? We don't need plenty of money to worship Krishna. Just with grass, you feed the cow, and Krishna says, "You have satisfied me." That means you are worshiping me. And the cows, they're so dear to Lord Krishna. If someone is so dear to you, and someone else hurts that person, how do you feel? Just recently, a celebrity in the US, during a big festival of awards, the guy who was making some comedy made mention of his wife. Some of the hairs on the wife's head are falling off. So you know what comedians can do? The comedian made a mention of this guy's wife. And a wife is the dearest person to the husband. So if someone insults your wife, what would you do? So this guy, when the comedian mentioned something about a wife, how her hairs have fallen off, so everybody was laughing. She turned to the wife, and the wife also, it seems that she didn't have a problem with that. But as the comedian made some further advances, he turned to the wife, and the wife was very grave. He realized the wife was hot. He went straight on stage and gave the comedian a dirty slap. So my point is, if someone is dear to us and someone else hurts that person, is equally hurting us, and we may react. We may not be proactive. And so, if someone is hurting the bull, will the king, will the Raja Rishi just be, sit back and not say anything? Keep in mind that the Vishnu Purana mentions categorically, Namo Brahmanaya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya, Jagatitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. This verse, the content basically explicates how the Brahmana is very dear to Lord Krishna. The cows are very dear to Lord Krishna. And so, if you hurt a Brahmana, if you hurt a cow, basically you are hurting Krishna himself. And so it was very proper for the king to be concerned about the mutilations on the bull. So here is how the game plays out. If we are responsible, or we are taking up a leadership position, we are responsible for everyone in our community, including the animals. And so the reference is being made. Prabhupada makes a reference to Rāmacandra, how the followers of Rāmacandra will not tolerate any indecency regarding treatment of members of the community. And why the case of Rāmacandra? I don't know whether it was here, but I was mentioning one discussion how Lord Rāmacandra will not tolerate even maltreatment given to dogs. And there was a typical example where a dog came to lay some complaint at the king's palace to Rāmacandra and his jurors. And they found the dog was bleeding on his head. They asked him, who caused this harm to you? The dog said it was one Brahmana. He was very sincere. He was sitting on the road. The Brahmana was coming with the stick. And then the Brahmana said, leave the road. But he was adamant. Sometimes the dogs, they won't budge. They won't care. Even, these dogs in our... Mahārāja dogs, you come in and you tell them to get up on the road, they will get up? No, they won't get up. I mean, it's just a traditional thing. But this Brahmana could not tolerate, so he hit the dog with his stick on his head, and he started bleeding. So he said, one Brahman hit him on the head. So they called the Brahmana. Case has started. They subpoenaed the Brahmana. So he came to give an evidence. He said, yes, I hit him on the head. Why you hit him? I wanted him to give me, opportunity to pass, but he refused. He just was lying, sitting there. So I hit him on the head. To cut matters short, they found this Brahmana guilty of assault occasioning harm. When you hit someone and there is an injury, in legal terms, it's called assault occasioning harm. So they found this Brahmana guilty of assault occasioning harm. You see how the kings of yore, the Raja Rishis, exemplified by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, how they treat everyone equally. The way they would have judged a human being, the same way Rāmacandra and his court members adjudicated the case of this Brahman hitting the dog. So King Parīkṣit also was intolerant to pains being inflicted by personality of Kali on the bull. In the present age, we have only truthfulness that is like still there. Otherwise, the other things like austerity, cleanliness, compassion, they are in the dustbin. In Kali Yoga, these other things are in the dustbin. There's a little bit of truthfulness. That is just the one leg of the bull or one leg of the cow that is remaining. So this is an age where bad qualities are dominant. But the good thing in this age is the worship of Lord Krishna. If even you don't have the time to go and cut grasses to feed the cow, you can use your tongue to worship Krishna in a very simple way. Anywhere. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you'll be good to go. So the important factor here is that if we are in a position of leadership, we should understand we have been put there to help to lead a change, to initiate a change, a positive change, and to lead that change to a positive conclusion. To initiate a change is very easy, but how to sustain that leadership to a conclusive event, that is a problem. So many people, they initiate a project, and after 6 months, they are tired with it. So leadership is a very challenging project. So these kings, they are able to push on with their mission because they are doing the things that are ordained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas in the modern age, the Prabhupada mentioned the purport, in the modern era, people are being killed recklessly. You don't do anything, you got killed. You come in, maybe I was just reading in one of the social medias in India, a student of 12th grade, he killed another of his classmates. This was in Tamil Nadu recently. Why? Because that his friend, his classmate, always comes to tell him, "You are so girlish." But then he told him to stop, and he wouldn't stop. So he devised a means to address the issue. This is Kali Yuga. If someone steps on your toe, then you carry a knife, and it doesn't commensurate. Anyway, to cut matters short, he tricked his friend, that guy who supposedly is bullying him. He tricked him into a party near their school, and then he just took him to some corner and stabbed him to death. This is Kali Yuga. And so it is important for us to understand how we are very temperamental in Kali Yuga. And we are prone to committing all types of atrocities. But the leader should be able to give us a sense of direction. If the parent is smoking, the parent will not have the guts to tell the son or the daughter not to smoke. And so we can only have that impetus to be able to motivate and encourage people to stop the violence on the innocent cows. When we are being empowered, when we have been empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself to be able to spread His message through the Sankirtan movement. So every one of us has a responsibility, and Prabhupada is looking up to us, because just like the kings, they were representing Lord Rāmacandra, the Pāṇḍavas, Yudhishthira. We are Rupanugas. we are followers of Sri Rupa. And what's the business of Rupa and the rest of the 6 Goswamis? Preaching. Not every one of us is inclined in, cow protection or farming. But what we could do is up to us. Whatever we can, we should figure out a soft spot to be able to help in propagating the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because not everyone is inclined in agriculture. You may say, well, I don't have inclination for agriculture, so I cannot become involved in cow protection. But if even you cannot do it directly, become involved in cow protection, you can help in making some campaigns. In fact, if you understand the gravity of the killing of cows, in the Manu Samhita it is mentioned that one who kills a cow, for instance, the number of hairs on the body of the cow, the person will take bet that number of times to be killed. So it's a dangerous game. And then even in India, not so many people, except with the present government of Modi, Prime Minister Modi, is doing so much that at least, to put a stop to all these violence on animals. I mean, then we can really see that Krishna is using him for some purpose. If cow killing, if violence on the animals could be stopped, majority of the global crisis, like wars, would have been put to rest. But, we cannot be hypocritical and we're looking for peace. But we are so much involved in killing the unborn child, killing the cows. It doesn't work in that way. And so we have a lot to be able to see how we are scientifically putting forward some agenda to be able to persuade those in power, because we are not in power, to persuade those in power to look at the deficits of cow killing, or to look at the consequences of cow killing. And therefore, we are ever grateful to Prabhupada. He did so much. He sacrificed his life to be able to go to the West, to establish, to plant the seeds of devotional service. Now it's up to us to be able to continue. That is how the system goes. This succession is called parampara. Evam parampara prapti. So we don't say, well, Prabhupada, thank you so much, and then we sit back to sleep. That would not be good. And sometimes we work so hard, and when we get into a situation where we are becoming committed, say in a particular type of social setting, a social commitment, then we brush the preaching aside. But it shouldn't be like that. We should do both. So here Parīkṣit is very much concerned, and his concern is a representative factor of protecting the reputation of the kings of yore, of the Raja Rishis. We may not be Raja Rishis, but we should also be very concerned about protecting the reputation of the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Krishna himself, who is very inclined to protecting cows. In fact, he lives in the community of cows. Go local. His planet is Go local, cow planet. Any comments or questions? A talk on cow protection is a very simple talk. You don't need too much philosophy.
Hare Krishna.
Maybe I'm too close to this.
Hare Krishna. That's better. I was too close to the speaker.
Okay.
You made the point of how we may not be directly involved in agriculture, but we should do whatever we can to promote cow protection. One area that some of it's being done in Mayapur at the Gurukul. I think the Mayapur Institute also has this campus. They plow with the bull. And so that would be really nice if we got rid of the tractors and started using the bulls. So I'm doing my part to try and please Krishna by promoting that. But it's an important aspect of cow protection. Otherwise, that becomes the culture. Then the bulls can live for their full life, in modern culture. Or at least Vedic culture, modern culture transformed into Vedic culture. It's a very important aspect to utilize the bull for the purpose that Krishna put them on the planet for.
Thank you. Yes, Mahārāja.
Thank you, Maharaj, for a nice lecture. On the subject of cow protection, how can we increase the awareness? Most people are in the darkness of ignorance. Like if you ask a child who's eating meat, why do you eat meat? My mom and dad eat meat, my grandparents ate meat, their parents ate meat, and so that's all I know. So how we can increase the awareness of what is happening to Mother Earth as a result of all these things?
Yeah. So, thank you. That's a very nice point. One of the major things thank you. One of the major things that we should be doing is through education. And you see, we neglect, I think that our society, we have neglected education for a long time. The immediate education that we focused on was Gurukul. And the Gurukul system basically was to train people to become, Vaishnavas and to become involved in, different services in our communities. But outside, how to really affect, you raise a very nice point, how to really affect people, to change them, to explain things to them very scientifically. So I'll give you an example. See, I have a PhD in applied management and decision sciences. And what I do is I use my skills in dealing with this type of situations. Recently, I had a presentation in London at the World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology. And the presentation, in a simple term, in a simple language term, simple devotional language, the presentation was about how chanting helps to prevent financial fraud. But the theme was sonic therapeutic intervention for financial fraud prevention. a phenomenological approach. Now, it seems highfalutin, high sounding, but it's a simple thing of how we are chanting. And those of us who are coming from, even from criminal mindset background, we have given up that because of the chanting. So in the same way, if we have people who can put up scientific explanation about this very concept of cow protection, the inherent dangers, the consequences of cow killing, the academic community and the global society will take it more seriously. Because outside of India, people see Indians who are not eating cows like they're missing the point. They think that they are missing the point, they're missing enjoyment. And then they even say, why are they seem to be worshiping cows. But then the point is that karma in itself has a scientific approach. I think in the past, some of my presentations, some of my publications, we are dealing with similar things like requital epistemology, leadership and requital epistemology, which means how people who are in leadership basically carries a heavy weight, because 1/6 of the reactions of all of their dependents or all of the members of their community, they carry the reactions of what they do. So in the same way, people who are killing animals or who are aiding and abetting cow killing, it comes with some consequences. And so if we can encourage some of our young devotees who are inclined in learning to be able to focus on this type of skills development, we will be able to have a better chance to conquer the world. Because we go to the streets, it's very good. We chant the holy name, it's very good. But the policy makers, the policy formulators, they are not on the street. We don't meet them on the street. And therefore, one of the things that I've been stretching over the years as I move around is to encourage young people who are inclined in learning to go for high professional skills, because with those skills, the preaching becomes easier, high-profile preaching becomes easier. Preaching to government officials who are hitherto inaccessible, it becomes easier. And so the point you raise is very, very salient. It's very, very important. We need to develop strategies to be able to help in triggering awareness on the challenges inherent in the consequences inherent in meat eating. Otherwise, but you see, we have a good fortune also, because these vegetarian societies, they're coming up with serious opposition against meat eating. Serious opposition against meat eating, and they're proffering scientific ideas, scientific ideologies to counteract the rationale for meat eating. But we also need to do something in the global setting to be able to address and convince people of high profile status to change their mindset and yield to our advocacy for simple vegetarian lifestyle. So thank you.
Thank you.
You'll be very happy to hear that Lord Chanananda Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, I think in New York, he's been appointed as one of the advisory member of the Presidential Advisory Committee, and he's doing this campaign, or at least awareness about the importance of cow protection. So that's the good news. Second one is a Gurukuli from Hawaii was also appointed very recently as a policy maker in the government there for USA, religious policy administrator department. So he's also appointment. So
That's very good. Thank you for sharing that information. Yes, you want to share some more, make some input here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for nice insight, nice class. Maharaj, I just to put some points because I come from Delhi NCRs and preaching was heavy there, very strong there. What they do basically, the two ways they do the preaching. They have the CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility team, and they go to the government officials. They meet the top officials and they make them devotees, at least not devotees, at least to in favor of ISKCON, especially living non-veg food on one way. And another way, their devotees' sons and children, their sons and daughters, they encourage to become the top positions, be a professor, be a doctor, be a government official, class 1 gated officials, but simultaneously they practice the devotional life so that in future they will be at the helm of the powers. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. That's a very nice input. In fact, it becomes easy because when they see you in the same office with them and your values are different, they are forced to befriend you. They want to come forward. I remember the case of one lady, she's a scientist. She told me how in her office, she was completely a different person. She's an IT scientist. And so, people know her when everyone is going on break to eat and drink, you know, she doesn't participate. But then one lady just walked to her one day and said, I like your lifestyle. You make me to be like you. So, you know, the values that such devotees have, when they mingle with the non-devotees are able to perceive, they're able to detect that this person is very much valuable in my life, and therefore I need to borrow a leaf from him or her. So yes, those type of approaches are very important. When we plant our men and women in good places for a sustainable future, we can be rest assured that if even they don't preach, their values will influence people around them to become devotees.
Even the books and the prasadam given to them, and for the world largest Bhagavad Gita, which is a Radha Parthasarthi temple in Istap Kailash, Delhi, Narendra Modi came to inaugurate. We all know that.
Sure.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
In my country, the entire ISKCON society has gone, as they proposed a solution to cow, the way to give cow protection is to have a non-dairy diet. Like all across America now, every ISKCON restaurant, Sunday feast, home programs, most of the deities, in some places the deities still get to have dairy, but otherwise they say that, well, we're going to not support that bad industry. You look how bad the cows, we have to have they're not ahimsa, so no dairy. How does that, why didn't Prabhupada come up with that one? Why is it, they act this, it's like Prabhupada's desire that we have this non-dairy diet. Why, is there a connection between boycotting dairy and cows becoming protected?
I think basically what is transparent these days is that people are preferring organic foods. I know the case of Gitanagari community, you know, Dhruva Maharaj and his group, they have amazing project there that they sell their milk, and their milk is ahimsa because their cows do not take, are not fed with chemicals or whatever. And so the whole of like the major grocery stores in Pennsylvania and New York, and some in Baltimore, Maryland. They become very popular because it is healthy. And what Prabhupada basically wanted us to do was to have our own cows, and that having our own cows means that we will not feed them with chemicals. We will be able to give them source for the grasses and then give it to them. But the difficulty is that those projects, I remember even in the case of Gitanagri, even when Prabhupada was on the planet, it was flourishing, but at some point in time, it went down. And we are the cause. Prabhupada has given us a good sense of direction. We are not able to manage the projects nicely, and we created a situation where there was a collapse regarding the progress of such projects. And so, Prabhupada gave us a sense of direction about what we needed to do. Look at even what is happening, like Russia, Ukraine. Now, when Prabhupada said we should have our own communities, communities normally are not in the city. When wars transpire, when wars begin or happen, it's in the cities. the wars, they commence in the cities. The fighting is in the cities. Now, for instance, a place like New Vrindavan, which is far into the remote, or Gitanagri, which is far into the remote, if even there is a war, it is very difficult for the war to get to those areas. And so Prabhupada had a foresight of, first of all, the protection of the devotees, and second, being able to produce our own food. If we are not even able to produce our own food, even milk, in most cases we are not able to produce our own milk. And so we have to fall back on the dairy that is not even from protected cows. And so we like aiding and abetting this violence on the cows. But it is not intentional that we are aiding and abetting, but the circumstances have forced us to be able to try to live. We have to eat. We try to eat to live. So carrying out the instructions of the spiritual master is the way forward for sustainability and progress. And the point remains that for us to be able to execute the instructions functionally, properly, it takes a lot of courage and it requires a lot of cooperation. When there is cooperation, and Prabhupada also emphasized the concept of cooperation. He said, if you love me, you make sure you work together. In most cases, we fight amongst ourselves. Even in the projects, we fight amongst ourselves. And that causes some type of setbacks. But the overall situation is that, yes, Prabhupada has given us a very clear green light on how to sustain our society, how to sustain our subsistence, and how to be able to become focused on the worship of Krishna and taking care of the cows. If we follow that to the latest, then basically we will not be part of the hustles and bustles of the city where we have to struggle just to be able to subsist. It's a big challenge. His Holiness Raghuvat Swami, he's been involved in this type of projects also in Udupi, right? Yeah. So some of the devotees, they're trying to be able to execute that, and it's not enough. That's the point. It's not enough. In New Vrindavan, also they're doing cow protection, but there are not too many cows. In other words, so the point is that we don't seem to realize that taking care of the cows is another way of worship of Lord Krishna. It's there in the Bhagavatam. It's there in the Puranas. I've read those things. If we can take out the time to be able to engage people based on their inclinations. In most cases, we don't engage people based on their inclinations. We want everyone to become, you know, what I want. I want you to become what I want you to do. But it shouldn't be like that. That is why there is Vana and Ashram. So perhaps the next generation will be able to arrive at a better conclusion. We are getting old. I can be kicked out from this body anytime. But yes, it's an important point. Spiritual Master gives an instruction. Disciples should see how they are executing it. Prabhupada had a foresight. And so we should think about the foresight of Prabhupada, how that could be useful to us. Yes. I think we have to end here because the time is far. What's the time now? Yeah. We can stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.